Christianity, and in particular, I believe it revealed the core elements of Jesus' story. Today, most of the manuscripts are locked away in the Coptic Museum in Cairo. I have been granted special permission to view one of the 1600-year-old texts, an ancient gospel that paints a very different picture of Jesus, the Gospel of Thomas.
Yes, the Gospel of Thomas. It is the important one here in this collection.
So this is a fragment from the Gospel of Thomas?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
This is absolutely amazing, because this is very, very old. The original text is thought to have been written at the same time as part of the New Testament. And arguably, this is a more important find in church history than even the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's probably the most important find.
Yes, it is the only gospel who speak about the saying of Jesus.
The first line of the Gospel of Thomas reads, "These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke." Unlike the Gospels that made it into the New Testament, there are no stories about Jesus' birth, life or death, just his teachings. Do you mind if I hold it?
No,
Sure.
you can.
Wow, this
Yes.
is... Oh, no, I'll keep it in the case, because
Yes.
this is a very, very precious and priceless piece of Christian church history, because there's a very different image of Jesus presented here through the sayings of Jesus.
Yes.
The trouble for many Christians is that this gospel has no mention of the virgin birth, no mention of Jesus as the Son of God, and no mention of the resurrection. And for many Christians today, this is heresy. One of the museum's curators was a Coptic Christian, so I asked her how she felt about the Gospel of Thomas.
I am Christian, and this idea is totally different about Christianity.
Do you think it's heresy?
Yes, I think so.
But the Jesus here isn't the Jesus you believe in.
No,
It isn't.
no, it isn't.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Do you feel that this is actually a dangerous thing to have here because it isn't part of the traditional understanding of Jesus?
Yes, you are right.
What is clear from this discovery is that some of the earliest Christians had a very different view of Jesus. A Jesus without the Christian dogma that Paul and his followers revealed later. And for me, that's the real hidden Jesus. I don't care if Paul borrowed ideas from other pagan gods, or whether Jesus was influenced by the Buddhists, or even whether he is buried in Kashmir. My search has told me that if you want to find the real Jesus, it is his teachings that are important, and in particular, how they can be put into action, just as Gandhi realized 75 years ago. 20 miles south of Bethlehem, in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, I am now on my way to meet up with a group of Palestinian olive farmers. With them are some foreign helpers. Every autumn, a desperate struggle is played out on the hills around Bethlehem between Palestinian farmers who want to harvest their olives and Israeli settlers who try to prevent them.
You can see the rooftops there are part of the settlement.
It is a microcosm of the decades-long Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Many of the olive trees are on Palestinian land, right next to the Israeli settlements, and the settlers are worried about their security. Religious groups tried to help the farmers negotiate access to their land. So it's a Christian organisation?
It is.
So why did you get involved in this? What's the motivation? Eileen Hansen is a Christian volunteer.
We believe that the gospel is about standing in solidarity with people, particularly the poor, those who are facing violence. So we've taken on as peacemakers the gospel call to be peacemakers and to do that actively.
So when Jesus speaks of people who follow Jesus being those who make peace, you see that as being an integral part of your faith?
Yes, and that it requires an active participation in being a peacemaker.
Right. To have faith in Jesus is to take risks, even if that means risking your own life.
We come to zones of conflict in particular to be peacemakers, because it's one thing to be a peacemaker where there's no risk involved, but armies are sent to zones of conflict and put their lives in danger in order to make war, and we feel that the same call, the same risks must be made by peacemakers if we really are serious about wanting peace.
But there are not just Christians here. Leading the negotiations with the Israeli soldiers guarding the settlement is a Jewish rabbi.
The very first verses of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, we learn that all human beings are created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image. It doesn't just say Jews or non-Jews, or the rich or the poor, and it makes a point of saying both men and women. And so, starting from that basic idea that we are all created in God's image, we believe that we have a religious obligation to honor that image of God in every human being, and that means honoring people's human rights.
The incredible thing here is that we have a Jewish rabbi, helped by a Christian peacemaker team, negotiating on behalf of some Muslim farmers. For me, this is just what the real Jesus would have done.
We believe that everybody is created in God's image. The settlers are created in God's image. The Palestinians are created in God's image.
Even the soldier with the gun.
The soldier with the gun is created in God's image, and we have to have that in front of us at all times.
Oh, well, it looks like the commander is coming back. Let's see
we'll
what
find
happens.
out what's going to happen.
Despite the rabbi's best efforts, the army is refusing to let the farmers onto their land. This is an absolutely extraordinary situation. You've got these Palestinians who want to do nothing more than do a day's work, harvest their land. And in order to do that, they've got to get permission from the Israeli army, and they've got to go through this complex negotiation just to be able to do a day's work. Never seen anything like this. After another hour of negotiation, the Israeli soldiers finally gave in and allowed the Palestinian farmers to go onto their own land. To understand the real Jesus, you have to strip away the doctrine, push aside the dogma, and go to his teachings. And it's a message that we can all buy into. Christians, Jews, Muslims, all faiths. It's a simple message of truth, justice, and human rights for all. And I think if Jesus was around today, this is what he'd be doing. Having now looked outside the Christian tradition, I believe the real Jesus, the one I call the Son of God and my personal Saviour, was a revolutionary teacher, an oppressed Jew who challenged the hierarchy of Judaism and the tyranny of the Roman Empire. And for this reason, Jesus was executed like any political enemy. What he left us with was a universally powerful message about what it means to serve your God, to oppose injustice and oppression wherever it's found. It doesn't matter whether anything in Christianity is borrowed from other religions, and it doesn't matter whether you believe in the virgin birth, resurrection, or even the Christmas nativity. What really matters is Jesus' message, a message that all these religions share, a message that if we follow, we can change the world for the better.
If you want to follow up these issues and find out more about the religions mentioned in this programme, go to the Channel 4 Faith and Belief website at channel4.com/belief.